Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Charles the Bandsman, and welcome you guys to another episode of the Dreamers Pro Show. We cover everything from sports, hot topics, classic debates, entertainment. We give you guys a fresh perspective on things and how we see them. And today we got a ridiculous show in store for you guys. Before we get into it, please make sure you like the video and sub to the channel. Before we even get into today's show, we produced the show yesterday. There's got a lot of people buzzing and talking about it. We even have people making shows about it and all of that. That video had to do with the Bronny James prop video where I said that LeBron is no longer in my top 5. And the reason, let me just quickly say why again. The reason that I have decided to remove LeBron James out of my top 5 is primarily due to his antics. I can't deal with it no more. Like, the antics are too, we've tried, we've overlooked so many different things, but it's just one thing after the other, and I'm just fed up, you know. And another person that made me think about this from this angle is Fitness and Sports Rants. He was talking about the way, like, when we choose to decide what player deserves to go where and where in the rankings, he also decided to talk about them as a, you know, from their character standpoint. Like, you know, is this honorable? Are these things honorable? He would always talk about honor, and it made me think, like, damn, he's making a good point. You know, he's making a good point because we're talking about the man as well. And he started to make me think about it from that vantage point. You know, and I'm factoring all of that in. I can't deal with LeBron's antics no more, man. It's too much. Too much, right? I'll reorganize my top 5 or whatever, but for now, man, I can't deal with it. When I said that, a lot of people actually agree with me. But anyway, on to something else. Prior to that, we produced a show that was centered on some comments that Kevin Wiles from First Things First said to Nick Wright. Nick Wright and some of the people out there in the sports media ecosystem, have realized that the Lakers aren't going to be any good this season. They've also realized that players like LeBron and AD are probably going to go out there and get their numbers. But they'll still need someone to scapegoat if the team doesn't perform well. And the name I keep hearing popping up is Rob Pelinka. Nick Wright was doing his usual hit piece on Rob Pelinka earlier this week, where essentially saying that he's an incompetent general manager. That's what they're trying to plant the seed, these guys. So when the Lakers underperform, Laker fans will know who to point their aggression and anger towards. So he was beginning to say that Rob Pelinka is an incompetent general manager. And then Kevin Wiles called him out on a point, which was, but you're always picking him. You're always picking the Lakers. But then something interesting happened this morning. One of our viewers sent me a clip. And this clip was centered on the First Things First reviewing the free agency moves that were made by the Lakers just last season. And during this segment, Nick Wright was doing what? He was praising Rob Pelinka for the fantastic job he did with the Lakers during the offseason. This same Nick Wright that was out there with his fake outrage about how poor of a general manager Rob Pelinka. Now, if some of you don't believe that, like, no, Nick Wright, he wouldn't do that. Nick Wright wouldn't speak out of both sides of his mouth. For those of you who don't believe that, that's the audio we actually want to get into right now. Before we even get into what Nick Wright had to say with his madness, today's video is brought to you by our sponsor, Game Time. Game Time is an authorized ticket marketplace of Major League Baseball, which makes getting tickets faster and easier. For example, I am super excited about the upcoming MLB games. With Game Time tickets, I can easily pick the best tickets for me. I love that I can choose between different deals. I have the option to select the cheaper deal, the best option deal, or my favorite, the flash deal. The flash deal gives me the option to find discounts that I can only find on Game Time. Once I select the ticket I want, I can view my seat. And it's not just restricted to baseball. I can also look for the best ticket deals for other sports like football, the NBA, concerts, comedy, or other theater shows. Included in my purchase, I also have a 24-hour return guarantee, a lowest price guarantee, event cancellation protection. So take the guesswork out of buying MLB tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code CLNS for $20 off your first purchase. Again, create an account and redeem code CLNS for $20 off. And remember, whenever you support this sponsor, you're supporting this channel. Thank you. So what we want to do now is want to play exactly what Nick Wright had to say about the Lakers free agency moves, and then want to come back and continue on. Take a listen to Nick right here.
And maybe also, by the way, maybe if all things were equal, he still maybe would have rather Dallas. Who knows? But this idea that the Lakers were able to offer him 4 for $80, they weren't. And as far as the other things the Lakers had going for it, you mocked me yesterday. I do not care.
Don't say it.
Well, I don't know. Here's what Michael Thompson said yesterday on the radio when he was asked about congratulating Clay for going with the Mavs. So here's my question, Wilds. I'm going to ask it because you called it a Rob Pelinka roast session, and I don't mean for that to be the case, but I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
What does he do?
Rob Pelinka?
Yeah, what does he do, and what evidence do we have that whatever he does, he's good at it? That's my question.
He won a championship.
Okay, so
he built the team that you always seem to pick.
What do you mean?
I mean, when you pick them over Denver, and
I picked
you're
them.
very optimistic about the team that Rob Pelinka's the GM.
If they had beaten Denver, you probably were going to pick them to win it all.
No, I had my pick
if
beforehand.
they beat Denver,
I
you would have
said
picked
on
Dallas
the
to
show
beat
that
them?
I thought the Lakers would be out of gas if they beat Denver.
So you heard what Nick Wright had to say. Now, I want you guys to listen to Nick Wright just this week, talking about how incompetent Rob Pelinka is as a general manager. Take a listen to that.
Here's the new and familiar faces on the Lakers. Vincent, Reddish, Hayes, Prince, and then there's Reeves on a very friendly deal. Rui, and nope, swing and a miss there.
Oh, that's Russell Westbrook, but it should be D'Angelo Russell.
D'Angelo Russell.
Yeah.
We'll edit that out for the live show. Don't worry, audience at home, you'll never see it. LeBron tweeted everybody out, including D'Angelo Russell, with an hourglass sign. I think he's waiting on it, or he's a fan of soap operas.
I think he's probably waiting on it.
You never know.
Yep.
How should LeBron feel?
Great. It was a fantastic offseason. Also, he's exhausted because, as everyone knows, he's the GM of the team. Wow. So he's got to work out, he's got to work out, is Austin Reeves going to get an offer sheet from someone? What is the fair value on D'Angelo Russell? All of those things. Because as we know, LeBron James makes all the moves on the team. But this is a team that makes sense. And how do Lakers teams with LeBron do when they have a roster that makes sense? Well, in 2020, they were the number 1 seed on a 60-win pace if they had played an 82-game season and won the championship. In 2021, with that same group, up until Solomon Hill did his somersault into LeBron James' ankle, they were the number 2 seed on a 56-win pace. Last year, post-trade deadline, they were 18-8, a 57-win pace, the number 1 seed in the West for that, in that time frame. And now they make sense. And they didn't have to overpay for anyone. They didn't have to do any of that stuff. So I think that they were the second best team in the West last year. And you could argue in the whole NBA, but certainly in the West. And the team ahead of them got a little worse in Denver because they lost Bruce Brown and the Lakers got better. And so I think this was an outstanding free agency for Rob Pelinka and the Los Angeles Lakers.
So you heard Nick Wright. The same Rob Pelinka that he was criticizing for being incompetent at his job is the same Rob Pelinka he was heralding for the job that he did. So the question then becomes, what is it? Is Rob Pelinka a good general manager or not? And I think if you ask Nick Wright, that would depend on which direction the wind is blowing in that moment. The reason, again, that he's now decided to target Rob Pelinka because he's a low-hanging fruit. The Lakers have a pattern, especially ever since LeBron became a Laker. One of the other reasons is that whenever the team underperforms, there must be someone to blame. There must be. It's been the pattern. It is chronic behavior. And now the new one they're going to be blaming is Rob Pelinka for the lack of moves he made throughout the offseason and what he wasn't able to get. He wasn't able to get Klay Thompson. He wasn't able to get this player. Now, here's a wrinkle in all of this. I was listening to Chris Broussard on Nick Wright yesterday. I was so disappointed with Chris Broussard listening to him yesterday because they were talking about Klay Thompson and all these other free agents moving around. And it's like there's just this reluctance from these guys to be honest on television and say what the issue is. They spoke about every single thing about why the Lakers don't get free agents, except the obvious elephant in the room, which was LeBron. Do you realize how many stars are turning down the opportunity to play with LeBron James? Now the new one is Buddy Hield. Buddy Hield looked over. He was like, what's going on over there in L.A.? Nah, I think I'm going to go ahead and pass and I'm going to go to the Golden State Warriors. No one wants to discuss that. Instead, they want to blame everything under the sun except the obvious. Do you think that these NBA players are stupid? Do you think they don't see what happens when you become a Los Angeles Laker and things don't go well? That they're ultimately going to get... The Lakers with LeBron are the only team in the NBA that when the team never performs, they blame role players. They never point they never point the finger at the real players. It's always the role players. This is what they do. This is exactly what they do. So players are beginning to look at this and be like, who wants to be here? Like when we're talking about the Lakers coaching job, who wants that job? Like, let's just be honest here for a second. Who wants that job? Who wants to be labeled the scapegoat? Who? But nevertheless, these guys are dancing all around the table, acting like as if they don't know the real reason why a lot of these guys are like, nah, I don't want to be a part of this circus. And that's what the Lakers season is going to turn into. This year is going to be one of the biggest clown shows we've seen in a very long time. It's going to be a total clown show. Totally. And you have delusional, listen, some LeBron fans are just something to behold. There's something to behold. Do you know that there are some LeBron James fans on the internet today actually out there making arguments for why they believe LeBron James at this point of his NBA career is a better basketball player than Luka Doncic?